Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
And a very great pleasure to welcome to the program now the Mayor of the Kapiti Coast. Guru, good morning and welcome to you.
Good morning, John. Good morning, listeners.
Thank you very much for joining us. And late last week, the Council had a very special meeting at which some substantial decisions were made. I was pleasantly surprised. And it looks as if this is a real response to extraordinary times.
Right. I mean, let me call this out clearly. It wasn't a meeting. It was a briefing. And we didn't make any decisions as such, but a strong indication was made on a number of areas that we need to create a package of incentives.
Okay, so can we clarify that there was agreement on these measures, if not a formal decision?
That's right. A formal decision, we need to go through a formal council meeting for that to happen.
Excellent. Okay, so the agreement so far, there's the number of points that perhaps we should go on, and it begins with removal of late payment penalties for rates for the rest of this financial year, which I imagine finishes relatively shortly anyway. But that's a substantial agreement in principle, isn't it?
Right, because we know that it's a difficult time when people will find it difficult able to pay the rate early enough. So there's normally a 10% penalty on top of it. So that will be removed.
And I see there's also here a June 2020 rates payment holiday for those impacted by COVID-19. What's the definition of those impacted?
Well, what we are looking at, we could look at the national predictions around what the unemployment rate will be. We're looking around specifically the 10%. So if you take this locally, 10% of our rate will not be able to pay or will be unemployed. And then we have 5% of our rate business rate, commercial rate. And we'll know that this is a close and difficulty. So we are looking at a 15% reduction in our immediate rate date. So what we're saying is you don't have to pay it now, you pay it later. So it gives us a breathing point. But it will be around $2.6 million. So there's an interest rate attached to that we will bear the cost of interest rate.
Right, okay. This is getting into very interesting territory because, of course, the council has income from rates, and you said that's going to take a bit of a hit. But also, there must have been an enormous hit on the various fees that you charge for services that, at the moment, are not being delivered. For example, the swimming pool. So this must have a considerable impact on the financial position of the KCDC.
It comes at a time when our revenues are already down, like on the library and phone poles, and also looking at the fees that people pay for food licenses, alcohol licenses, outdoor dining licenses.
Yes.
It will be at a time when there's lockdown level 3 and level 4. These businesses will not have been operating. So it's unfair for us to for the paid fees which have not been used. So we will refund part of the fees. I think about a quarter of the fees will be refunded.
And I see in terms of business, because there's considerable business support here, that you're waiving rent payments for 3 months for major tenants of what I should imagine is council-owned property. So
we haven't got much. We're not like Wellington, who are huge landlords. You know, we've got a couple of cafes, Novella and one in the swimming pool. We've got the Artel, which is the subtenant to somebody else. And we've got about 4 or 5 other properties which we have bought and held because there are some drainage work, piping work, roading work that we done in the future.
Yes.
And the land is involved with those properties. We hold those and we rent them out. So it's not a huge area.
But still, waiving the rent payments for 3 months, I think that's got to be commended, because it's tough for business right now. And along those lines, rapid supplier payments, aiming for 7-day payments. And I'm sure many of the small businesses, let's face it, most of our businesses are small, I'm sure they'd appreciate that, because times are tough.
Yeah, and it's the liquidity. You need the money to be flowing. The businesses need the money to be flowing. So we are large organizations with a strong capital base and asset base. We can do those sort of things. And with that goes the credit terms for invoices everything.
Right. Okay. And we also have down here a 90-day credit term for invoices. What would the normal credit term be? Would it be 30 days?
I think that's 30 days.
Yes. Okay. So you're stretching that out a bit. And a refund of a quarter of the fees for food, alcohol and outdoor dining licenses paid in the current financial year. Does that go back to April last year?
Yeah, this financial year will be June. So
I see.
The fees up front.
Yes.
But then it's unfair because under level 3 and 4, they haven't been able to trade.
Okay. And also it says to increase weighting for local businesses in procurement processes. You want to buy local if possible, that means, doesn't it?
That's right. We are wanting to give contracts to local contractors, not contractors outside. Even though their contract would be a lower cost, we prefer to pay a certain percentage because that the local contractors need them.
Indeed. And we were talking to Kathy Spires a wee while ago, and she was talking about the community board discretionary grants they have. It's not major, but it certainly is something. And I know that some of the boards have got some in the kitty. And there's an allowance here to make the COVID-19 response initiatives eligible for those payments as well.
That's right. We are repurposing those funds during the social investment funds also. I think the community trust, the Wellington Community Trust also issued a change in their grants. If you come up with things which is not under a current criteria, but if you can show it related to response to the COVID pandemic,
right,
they will allow that. So it's a similar thing.
And one little final item on the list I have is to extend the existing library book loans by 6 weeks. A small thing, but I think that's quite important for many of our listeners who love their reading and may be getting a little bit anxious about the library fees. And that's a small thing, but I think in a way it is symbolic as well.
It is symbolic. And also I know that the senior citizens, they fret when they do something that's not right.
Yes, that's right. They fret about it.
Psychologically, you take the stress out of it.
So there it is. They are the points that, as I've picked up. Have I missed any, Mr. Mayor?
No, you've got it covered. No.
Now, could I ask where this came from? There must have been an extensive amount of policy work being done, and much of it being done from home, I should imagine, given our previous conversations.
Financing has been working very hard, but having said that, we also have access to advice from our national, which is the local government, working with the Society of Local Government Managers and the Department of Internal Affairs, who come together to provide some kind of template guidance and advice to councils around the country.
So this is a kind of, this, in principle, is the sort of work that's being done right around the country by local government, is it?
That's right.
Well, that's very commendable. I know that in the past I've been a little bit critical, mainly in private rather than public, about the Council's response to COVID-19, but it certainly appears that you've come up with a very creditable package. And it also says here that these measures are a first step.
That's right.
So
we don't know where this is going to go. But we've got to be really aware that it is times like this that you can justify maxing your credit card. So council is in a position to be able to borrow even from OPEC But we must understand that we've got to do this very carefully, because at the end of this process, we need to come out of this still being a viable, financially viable organization.
Yes.
So there's a fine balance, because we cannot be borrowing and spending, and at a time when the revenue is going down without tightening our belt and bankrupting the organization.
Have your finance people come up with an estimate of the hit to the bottom line of these measures?
Well, I mean, we are still working on this, because it's changing. The scene is changing rapidly.
Yes.
But I think we have been living within, the green line you talked about. That has given us some sort of discipline. The work was done so well that our credit rating has gone up by 2 notches. But then we're in a situation where we may have to break the green line reluctantly. But we don't know what the impact will be. I mean, the current annual budget is already projected to be blown by 1.6 billion.
Okay.
You must understand that the last few weeks, the amount of overtime being done by staff has been huge.
Yes. Yes, indeed. So they certainly are extraordinary times. Have you talked to central government about access to really, really low interest loan to cover the shortfall?
I think the central government is looking at buying local government bonds, which they will buy from the local government, the local government group, our bank that we borrow money from.
So they're supporting in that way a certain amount of quantitative easing, I think, buying up the bonds. Okay, so that makes the money available. Well, certainly very interesting times, and this is a substantial reaction to it. And so the agreement is here. When can we expect some action in a formal sense?
We've got another briefing on Thursday. And then we will organize the following week a proper meeting. And also we've got to master the fact that meetings will be online through Zoom.
Yes.
We've got to work out how public participation in that is going to happen.
Right.
And then we've got to work out also how the submission process is going to work.
Well, there's certainly a lot of work being done, and congratulations on it. And I salute the effort, and I think we've got to do that, because when credit is due, I'm only too willing to pay it. And it's interesting that so much has been done in such a short time and in such strange circumstances. So congratulations to the staff as well.
That's right. I think these are a huge kudos. There have been I can tell you many stories of people going beyond the call of duty to get this.
Indeed.
Managing this process.
Well, congratulations on that, Mr. Mayor. So we can expect some kind of decisions, in about 10 days or so, you're saying?
Yeah.
Something like that. Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us. You're always welcome here on Beach FM.
Thank you very much, and thank you.
106.3 Beach FM.